This is how a simple voice to text SaaS raised $81 million with this just one simple feature. Now, today I'm going to be breaking down Whisper Flow, which is, well, to put it simply, it is a simple voice to text software tool that got managed to raise $81 million with this just one feature that I'll be getting way deeper into. And so I've been using Whisper Flow for quite a couple months now, which is why I'm making this video because I actually know how it actually works from the inside. So I'm not really making this video from like an analytic or from a technical guy's perspective. I'm literally just saying this from a perspective as a real user. In this video, I'm gonna be covering what they are doing really well and what Whisper Flow can improve. But more importantly, what can you actually learn from this video and what can you actually steal and apply to your own product. So basically whatever Whisper Flow is doing or the mistakes that they're doing right here in this video, you can learn from them. Because hey, they managed to raise $81 million from this SaaS. So of course you would want to listen to this video. Of course, there's always a thing or two you can learn from Whisper Flow. Now, before we actually start, let's actually understand it properly. What actually is Whisper Flow? To put it really simply, it is a voice to text tool that helps you to type faster by speaking your words instead of manually typing it out on your keyboard. And this basically converts your voice into clean, accurate text in real time. And then their core feature is very simple. Since they've only really one feature, then their core feature is to just transcribe your voice into any app that you use, and then it will auto edit whatever you say so it reads out naturally. Now I'm gonna show you the feature literally in this video. You see at the bottom of this video, this toggle that you see here. This is Whisper Flow's feature that if I were to click the control button right here, if let's say I were to open a chat, let's say I'm typing on Claude or on Slack, or I want to message a personal message on Telegram, I can basically just click the control button, and then it will basically record whatever thing that I said, and it will basically just generate it into very like natural words. And basically what this does is I don't have to spend my time typing. And right here, like you can see, it literally, generates exactly what I say from voice to text. Now, this video is not, it's not necessarily about like how to use Whisperflow and all that. That's just an example, so you get an understanding of what they are. This is more about how they actually execute on this idea. So it's more than just about like UI or UX experience. This is more about like, behavior psychology, understanding your users, understanding their behavior, what makes them stay, what makes them pay, and yeah, then let's just get right straight in. This is the landing page. I really want to dive into the landing page first thing first, because a common mistake that founders, including all me, made was that a lot of people to think that the value moment happens in the UI after users sign up, which is wrong. And I admit this is also a learning point that I've learned after after really analyzing it, because the true first aha moment is actually in the copying and positioning of the landing page. It is when people to read the homepage, do they understand what the product does and how can they actually benefit from it? This is the aha moment, these two things. So the landing page is, you can call it the first make or break point whether a user is willing to excitedly try a product. When the first 60 seconds when they land on your landing page, do they understand what your product does and do they understand your value proposition so that they know you can solve whatever problem that they have? This is the aha moment. This is the landing page of Whisper Flow. Now, the first, of course, the main elephant in the room you see here is this headline: don't type, just speak, which is like their main outcome of the whole entire hero section. Coupled by it is this sub headline which actually tells what the product does. Now this is like a common good way on how headlines and sub headlines are being written. Your main sub headline, which is this, you basically want to tell people like the outcome of what your product does, which is in Whisper's Flow case is you don't have to type, you just speak, and then well, that saves you more time. But they don't really say it, but that's what this four words is trying to say. And then the sub headline is actually getting into like more like the technical stuff of actually explaining and giving the readers more clarification on what they are, which is the voice AI, the voice to text AI that turns any speech into clear, polished written in every app. So yeah, I guess that's like the first good thing that Whisperflow does. Headline tells you the outcome of what the product does, and then the subheadline actually tells the feature or an action of what the product does. At the right, here's just a CTA button on, well, in order for you to actually, download the app, which in my case, it's for, Mac OS. I mean, I'm using Mac right now, so it makes sense. I assume that if you're using Mac, if you're using Windows, then it will say download for Windows as such. But then, the another thing, like a small detail I want to touch on is this small description that tells the audience that this is available on MacBook, on Windows, on your iPhone or your Android. Reason being is because Whisper Flow wants the reader to know that this is a universal product. You can use it on your Mac, on your Windows, on your PC, on your phone, any phone, so it is universal. Now to talk about like some design aspect, we have this thing, this swirly animation, like some of like a cute animation to I mean it's cool, I'm not complaining. What's more important is they actually show this thing, which is well, that's basically like the feature that you see here. This is kind of like a way for a user to actually visualize, somewhat roughly visualize how the product actually works. And then you see here the one that's actually popping up is kind of like a feel. They're hinting what the feature does, which is you see here in a bit. Yeah, there we go. Like correcting people's grammar, punctuations and all that, spelling, saving people's name. This is just them hinting on what features they can do. So overall, I would say that it's not the design aspect isn't too overwhelming. It's a solid hero section. It's a good balance between simplicity and complex animation designs. Now, there's the good thing. A first flaw I want to give is this. You see this hit bar that shows now live on Android, but I'm using an Apple product. I'm using a MacBook, so this is completely irrelevant to me. I mean, on the contrary, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say I'm using a MacBook, a Mac OS, and then for some odd reason, I'm using a Samsung product. But even though if that's the case, even though like saying Android that resonates me as a Samsung user, this really doesn't do anything much because we already have this CTA right here, Flow for Android. So why would there be two call to actions? Like this will only just bring in some extra cognitive overload for a user. Because if you think about it, on one screen there are four call to actions, which is this the download now, this flow for Android, then this download for Mac, then download for Mac. These two CTAs are fine because this is a floating hit bar that is just a call to action for whenever people want to buy the trigger. So yeah, I would say that this is the first flaw. This hero section, I mean this hit bar is not necessary at all. Could have switched it for something else. Either you switch or you just remove it entirely. Then followed by the toggle hit bar, kind of self-explanatory. We got the features, we got the pricing. This is something that I'll get way more deeper talking about the pricing page and all. Individuals, this is more for like specific use case for let's say that you're a student and you want to write faster, then this is basically like a whole page for specifically students, and they basically understand their ICP, and they can basically just gauge that my ICP are developers, are creators, are students, are lawyers, are salespeople and all, so I don't mind that. The next thing is this a business page, which I mean I would of course highly assume that this is more for like B2B power users who want to get on the enterprise plan, which is why they got like a specific page for just business. So yeah, I would say this one entire page are mainly for like power users who are already familiar with Whisper Flow. So then looking more at it, this is like the second section of the landing page. Here's the thing. with this whole animation thing, this is cool, like this phone animation, because it shows that you can actually use it on your phone, and it actually shows you how it looks like. But one thing I don't like, and one thing that I'm pretty sure other new users who first land on this page would kind of bother them, is this animation thing. Because think about it, look at it over here. You really have this animation, which is kind of already a lot. It is, yeah, cool. It's not too complex, but it's really going on, you know. We got a lot of text here, and then we got like a new form of text. And then right below it, we got like a similar sort of animation, which is kind of, I wouldn't call it brain rot, but kind of, like the dopamine spiking is quite a lot. And I'm pretty sure that's not the only animation, because you see here there's the testimonials of companies that is also moving animation. But which is, I don't know, I feel like that's a bit too much. This one makes sense of, like, companies logos. Of course, you would want to have a strong case study of like who are the people using your product. But this, there has to be like a simpler way on how you actually do this. Because I mean, for branding wise, I don't know if this is a wise approach, considering that Whisper Flow is such a simple tool to use, considering that they have only one core feature. But and then if you to see how complex the landing page will look like, that is kind of like a mismatch on who they are as a software product. So that's just a thing to bear in mind. It's visually too busy, I would say. And then, yeah, right below this is a value proposition, like a good bold claim of saying that 4 times faster than typing. Like a really good way to incentivize incentivize people to actually kind of like tangibly see what Whisper Flow can do. And right below here is like more of like the technical stuff of like, actually telling people like what they are. Like when you create code and respond faster, you free up more time. So their benefit outcome is more about freeing up time and speed. Now, one thing that I really like, because the thing that I mentioned earlier is the first aha moment is in the copy of the landing page, which overall Whisper Flow does quite well. And then the second aha moment to any product is actually the feature itself. Now, if new user were to actually like click on this try flow, they can actually, experiment and actually experience the first value of what Whisper Flow does. Now, if let's say I'm a complete new user and then I want to click on this start dictating, and then this is when I can test, like, plan a week-long itinerary trip for Italy that prioritizes historical sightseeing and local food tours. If I to click stop dictating, this is when it's like, okay, the aha moment is here. Like it's like, within, for a new user, on average it's like what, like 2 minutes, 60 seconds to 120 seconds for a complete new user to actually see how it works, which closes the curiosity gap of not knowing how this sort of like voice to text AI tool works. And then if a user were to actually really wanna, test it out, they can experiment it more of like a list of like drafting an email. And then of course, can't forget about CTA right here. Maybe what they can do is to have like a company logo right below here, like maybe a couple, like one or two, to basically like really incentivize people. And as so far as such, this is just like more value proposition. This is more about like the IC for like what individual ICP you are, which is kind of similar to this. I mean, this is more of like a nice to have type of thing, so I'm not gonna say much about that. Then right here after this is just like more feature and all that. Now, since this is all of the, like the feature proposition, then testimonial walls, CTA, and then footer. One critic that I really want to give is that maybe after all of these features, right, where's the pricing section? Where is the pricing section or a clear CTA for users to see the price? Because as we know, for a user, once you were to, I guess, be on the hero section, and you actually read what the product is about, the second thing you're gonna look at is how much does it cost, is the pricing. Because for Whisper Flow's case, the only way on how you can actually see the price is if you were to click on this toggle button and then you click on this pricing page. But really, I feel like Whisper Flow is missing that, the pricing page of a user, like maybe right in between here, after this whole feature wall of snippet library and then all this, then a nice perfect spot to put the pricing section is this right here before more testimonials. Now speaking of pricing page, this is literally the only way on how you can get access to the pricing page. Now let's get to it. Now Whisper Flow runs on a freemium model that you get 14 days free trial of the pro version right here for 14 days. And then so I mean very simple pricing tier list. We got of course the free plan, the pro plan, and then the enterprise plan. I would say for pricing itself, it's not scary, because this is of course like gonna be the main option for majority of users. There'll be a lot of people who would be new to this concept of a AI voice tool. So starting off as a free trial plan and allowing users to test the product, to experiment it, to see how they can actually implement it into their own workflows is good because it builds them habit so that once they actually get used to it, they understand how to use the product, they understand how it benefits them, then it will be low friction for them to upgrade to the pro plan. Man, I really want to emphasize on their pricing tier plan. There's only three tier plans of basic, pro, and enterprise. There's no I won't go through any any choice paralysis of five different plans. It's very easy for me to make a choice because there's only really one. So I won't go through any decision paralysis. And now for the plans and features, would just want to say like one thing about like technical design perspective is all right. Let's say I wanna go like compare this feature of effortless voice typing, and then if I were to like just scroll deeper and I wanna get through like the security and compliance feature, like in order for me to compare things, I have to kind of like scroll up and down quite a lot, and this is just like a design technical flaw, because the words are just so big, and like I really have to go like if a user really wants to compare the between the plans and all, they would kind of get lost on this table because of the constant scrolling up and down. So then yeah, I would say that the feature comparison table is too long. Like this is four tables just stack up on each other, but that's not really the problem. The issue is that by the time a user were to get into the security feature, which is that one, well, the problem is that you would be losing the average attention span of your typical user because they would get lost trying to keep track of what they're reading in the first place. I mean, like a really easy way for you to combat this is to simply make the font smaller, have more extra margin between the ends. And without further ado, if I were to click on the CTA of the download feature, this is the sign up process of Whisperflow. And even though when it comes to the simple thing like the sign up page, a lot of you motherfuckers would still fuck this up, because I've said this in some of my other videos before. The mistake that people make when it comes to the SSO is they would only have one option like Google and the option to manually type your email address. But what Whisperflow executes really well is that they have the two main fundamentals SSO option, which is Google and Apple. That is, these two things are non-negotiable, sign-in options that you need to have in your sign-up processes. You need to have Apple, and then you need to have Google. I mean, Google is like a no-brainer. Everyone should have like Google at least, but these two things, especially Apple, can really increase your sign-up rate completion. Because how many people are using Apple? How many people have their accounts attached to their iCloud account? And this is what Whisperflow does really well, like a simple page that just allows you to sign in with four or well maybe five different options. But then you can argue that for Whisperflow case, it makes sense for them to have Google and Apple because people would be using this product on iPhone But really, that doesn't excuse you from not having a Apple as a SSO option. This is how your sign-up process should look like, right? And like just like a small window of social proof. Now, this is something interesting. If let's say for you, yes, I would highly suggest for everyone to have a wall of social proof and the companies that have used your product in your sign up process and in your paywall. Like before or during the checkout page, when they're inserting the credit card, you should also have some level of case study and social proof. But let's say in your case that you don't have that many companies like Whisper Flow, like right here. They probably like just in this like moving animation of companies right here. There's probably like 6 or 7 or 8 companies you see here. But let's say you have only like 2 or 3 companies that have tried your product. What you can do instead is get a CEO of a company that have used your product and then put that as a case study wall of saying that quotes. There's also another way for you to for you to deliver some social proof. If you don't have these options of having multiple case study walls, that's another way for you to do it. And then so lastly, I'm gonna be mapping a Whisper Flow's onboarding path. Now at the start is when you were to sign up, like the page that I show you, then it will send you to this download page where, I mean, this is where you would to actually, download Whisper Flow. Apparently you have to download Whisper Flow in order for you to actually use it. And then once you download it, of course, you come to the UI. So that's literally the onboarding path. That simple 3 processes. Three, not four, three. No segmentation questionnaire and all that, just straight into the UI. And so now, I mean, to be fair, this is like the whole first UI in itself. You got very simply the like the side hit the sidebar, which are all including the important features, only 5 of them, and then you got the settings, of course. Now, of course, this video is not about how to use Flow or what the feature. This feature does this feature does that. This is how the feature helps you and all that. This video is not really about that. Like, I don't give a fuck about all that. This video was mainly just about how they do it and how you can basically learn from them so that you can make more money by applying the same principles that this 9-figure SaaS is doing. So yeah, I'm not gonna go through the UI. I'm not gonna go through like what feature does what, because like, I've really gotten through that. Whisperflow has only one core feature, which is very, very simple, and that is what makes this product interesting and successful, I guess. And yeah, with that being said, this actually just brings me to the closing of this video. Now, if you find any parts of this video interesting, I assume that since you have already watched till the end of this video, and you're gonna apply maybe 1 or 2 things in this video that I talked about, apply the same frameworks to your product. And if you want more help, more assistance, one-on-one help with me, directly with me, under the description of this video, there's only one link, which is a VSL video, I'm not gonna lie, which is for those who need specific help to, improve the UX of your product, improve the conversion and the retention, and so that you can make more money, which is that's exactly what I do. I do B2B SaaS consultancy that helps founders make more MRR. So, I mean, I don't really care if you watch the video or not. I've really done my job by, you know, recording this video. But I mean, if you want, if you don't want to go in the trap of building shit on your own and then wasting a lot of time or hiring wrong people, then check out the link below. It's a free YouTube video that you can just watch. So yeah, if you're serious about growing your SaaS, then go ahead and do that. Check out the link under the description of this video.